Who knows, man? By the time this video is uploaded, maybe there was already a trade, maybe there was a blockbuster, maybe something amazing happened. Because today what we're doing is talking about NHL trade targets and NHL teams that could be in on the market heading into Thursday night's National Hockey League roster freeze. They don't want to see players get traded during the holidays, so a lot of the trade activity you will see happen on Wednesday as well as Thursday. NHL GMs are like college students after all, waiting until the very last possible second to get their assignments done. In this video, we're talking about one team that has been at the center of the entire trade saga, one team that everybody's been talking about how bad they are, talking about how all their players are receiving calls, and what other teams could make sense. We're talking about Buffalo, ladies and gentlemen, and we are diving into some of the rumors, some of the talk, some of the conversations that have been going around from different Canadian teams that could potentially be in on Buffalo Sabres guys. Now again, disclaimer, I record my videos the night before. I'm actually recording this right after the Canucks lost against Utah, but it will be uploaded the next morning. If there is some sort of a trade involving these names or these teams, then we will dive into that when I wake up, because, you know, I'm here on the West Coast, right? Nothing is ever first for me, because what I wanted to do was go over to a video segment from BPM Sports Talk Radio. Because you had yourselves Matthias Brunet on the program talking about a very particular trade between Montreal and Buffalo that he would want to do. Here it is. It's Michael Hage and Cole Caulfield for Rasmus Dahlin. If we go out there and translate the tweet that is included with the video clip, it says this: Matthias Brunet would give the Canadiens' first-round pick, Michael Hage, and Cole Caulfield for Rasmus Dahlin. Martin LeMay said he would give Lane Hutson and Cole Caulfield for Rasmus Dahlin. What do you think about these trade proposals? And that is big. You know, I don't want to put myself into any Buffalo fans' shoes and jump to any conclusions about Rasmus Dahlin out of all people. If anything, this guy's probably going to be sticking around for the long term. I know he's out right now, he hasn't played for a while, but Rasmus Dahlin is in that territory where when it comes to young, under 25, under 26, top pairing defensemen who will be the best D-men in the entire league for years to come, Dahlin is definitely in that conversation. Is he in the same territory as a Hughes or a Makar? Honestly, I'd probably say not at this point. There was probably a time, let's say 2 or 3 years ago, where I could definitely have argued that Dahlin is more valuable than a Hughes, for example, but I think nowadays Hughes and Makar are literally 1 and 2 or 2 and 1, depending on, of course, whichever order you personally evaluate them at. Either that, or depending on if you're talking to a Canucks or an Avalanche fan. But ultimately, Dahlin is in that tier right below. I'd put him in the same tier as Werenski. I'd say Miro Heiskanen is there. Maybe Adam Fox is the only guy that's like teetering between tier 1 and tier 2 consistently throughout the years. But Rasmus Dahlin is an absolute stud of a hockey player, and playing for a bad Buffalo Sabres team, he is still just slightly under a point per game this season. He's got 19 points in 25 games played. That is a 75 game point pace of 57 points, which admittedly is not as productive as some of the other years that he has had, but we do have to recognize Buffalo is so bad right now. Who knows who is on the table, who knows who is not on the table, if Rasmus Dahlin is available, if he is one of these unicorns that the Sabres might be willing to trade away and allow to leave their organization in order to facilitate a rebuild more. Maybe he's a guy who gets it done. Maybe Rasmus Dahlin gets sent over to another team and, like Jack Eichel, he ends up finding himself a championship. Is it Montreal that would be able to get this done? Honestly, if you think about what Montreal would have on their blue line, I know that Lane Hutson is included in one of these trade ideas, but ultimately, having Dahlin and Alexandre Carrier as your top pairing, that's a very mature and very well-refined pairing Obviously, Carrier is the easy name to toss in there because he was acquired yesterday, but even if you talk about some of the other names, Reinbacher, Dahlin, that also sounds very sustainable long-term. You've got some good offensive flair and two-way play out of Dahlin. You've got some even more stabilizing defensively minded responsibility in David Reinbacher, who can also contribute offensively too. And ultimately, if you set yourselves up where it's like Dahlin and, let's just say, Reinbacher, let's say you have Hudson and maybe Cayden, you move him over to the right side. I don't know. You want to really test out what Goulet is capable of. And then on the third pair, you have whoever happens to be there. Maybe it's Logan Mailloux. Maybe it's somebody else there. There are a lot of options you could have with Rasmus Dahlin at the helm. And honestly, if it were up to me, trading away Michael Hage, Cole Caulfield, and a first, while I understand that it's a lot, at the same time, you're going to have to give up a lot for Rasmus Dahlin. Maybe it's a bit too much because Cole Caulfield is very, very good. And even furthermore, with Martin LeMay's trade proposal, Hudson and Caulfield. Oh boy, that's really, really deep. I honestly don't know if I would do LeMay's transaction over here. Hudson and Caulfield are both guys that could become #1 players at their position. And trading away one of those for one of the best defensemen in the NHL, it does seem appropriate, but it's something that I don't think I'd be comfortable doing. I just see too much value and emotional, sentimental value, connection even, with Lane Hudson and Cole Caulfield. If it's guys that haven't made the team yet, or draft picks like Hage and a first-round pick, or maybe somebody else not named Cole Caulfield, honestly, I would really, really think about it. But this is just two Montreal-based BPM Sports Talk radio hosts going out there and talking about this hypothetical idea. I wanted to shift your gears over to Vancouver, because earlier yesterday, we had talked about this on the show as well, but earlier yesterday, it was reported by Rick Dhaliwal on Donnie and Dolly that the Vancouver Canucks are indeed still interested in Bowen Byram and Ivan Provorov. Hoglander got destroyed by Tocchet. Fire him now. That is what the tweet over here by No Nux Given goes out there and says. But I honestly think that if Bowen Byram is in a spot where Vancouver media is diving into his name over and over again. Everybody's talking about Byram, even on the Discord voice chat. I've got friends hitting me up, hey, so what do you think about Bowen Byram? I've got friends in real life hitting me up saying, hey, what do you think about Byram? Bowen Byram this, Bowen Byram that. I get that there are a lot of Canucks fans that are interested in this name, particularly because of his connection with the area. He's from Cranbrook, BC. He played for the Vancouver Giants. He became the first WHL defenseman ever to lead the playoffs in scoring, and he did that as a draft-eligible defenseman, and he happens to be very, very good. The thing with Byram is, he's a lefty who can play on the right, and so I'm thinking about it like this. If you have a trade that allows Quinn Hughes to get a new partner, you give him Bowen Byram to play on the right side, there is no reason whatsoever why Patrick Allvin and Jim Rutherford would stray away from that. And ultimately, we had discussed this as well. I know my own opinions about it. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. But if the Vancouver Canucks have to depart with a guy like Tom Willander, for example, Tom Willander and maybe a first for a guy like Rasmus Dahlin, for a guy like Bowen Byram, whose contract sees him making a pretty reasonable amount of money, $3.8 million, until the end of this season, the thing is, you would need to make sure you're able to bring him back. He's only 23 years old. He is so young. He's got a lot of potential. You're gonna need to guarantee you're able to sign this guy. And ultimately, if you pay him, let's say, $5, $6, $7 million, that's going to be a lot of money tied up into Hughes, Byram, and Hronek. Now, sure, those guys are three of the best younger defensemen in the NHL, but that is a lot of money you would have to think about. One of these guys is inevitably going to play on your second pairing. So the question is for Vancouver, if you really considered a bigger picture with Phil Hronek, do you go after a Bowen Byram? Do you try to make this work longer term with the money? Do you try to send away some assets for a guy that will only stay onto your team for the next few months? Or is it only necessary to make this trade if you can guarantee he will stay? Which I don't want to make it seem like it's a guarantee or anything, but hey, Bowen Byram is from here. He is from the Vancouver area. Cranbrook, BC is not too far away. He probably was a Canucks fan growing up. I'm just throwing that out there, just taking a wild guess. And if there was a chance for him to want to come play in Vancouver, I don't necessarily think he would say no. That's just based off of my own personal speculation that has nothing really formulated in truth. So you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, firstly about the idea of Rasmus Dahlin getting traded over to Montreal, and what are your thoughts as well about Bowen Byram and this extended Vancouver Canucks talk. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on, and bye.